You're listening to Radio Kidnappers, the voice of Hawke's Bay. This is a program called Food for Life, and it's our pleasure, as always, to have in the studio Heather Barrow from Food for Life. How you going, Heather?
Doing quite well, Ken. How are you?
Really good. Can you believe we're nearly through winter? Isn't it great?
We're over halfway through.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you believe
Homeward
that?
stretch. Pollen starting to fall from the trees.
I know. Pretty soon we're going to have allergies running around.
That's already started.
We'll be talking about that next month, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, Food for Life. Just remind our listeners what it is and what it's all about and how you can help our listeners to get through their life.
Yeah, so Food for Life, I am a clinical nutritionist. I'm registered. So what I do is I help people with health issues or people that just want to make sure that their bodies are running well. So, anything from skin issues, weight loss issues, any, headaches, gastrointestinal upsets, all sorts of health issues. So if you're looking to get healthy, make sure that you're functioning optimally at your best, want some food testing done, all sorts.
Sounds easy. Get healthy. How do we get healthy if we've been sedentary for months or years? Just start. How do you start?
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
If you're moving even a little bit, it's better than you're lapping everyone on the couch. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But is it as simple as that? Just start. I mean, if we've lived in a culture of being unhealthy, we've been eating unhealthy foods. Although I did talk to someone the other day, and I said, "Look, I could eat hamburgers every day of my life," and they said, "Oh, don't know whether that'd be a good idea." And I said, "Okay, well, if we dissect the hamburger, what do you call it? Deconstruct it. It's got a bit of meat in it. It's got some lettuce. It's got tomato. It's got beetroot. It's got a bit of this. Got a bit of bread. It sounds like the perfect way to eat a meal, doesn't it?"
Nothing wrong with a hamburger now and then.
Yeah. What about every day, though? Could you live on it?
No, I don't. I mean, yes, you could live on it, but you might end up with some issues down the track.
Yeah.
So,
what kind of issues could I end up with? Because a lot of people now are into that fast food. Busy day at work. On the way home, let's go and pick up what we think that might be a healthy takeaway. Well, why wouldn't you suggest that I have a hamburger every day when I've just told you I've deconstructed? It's got those 5 elements in that I want every day.
Well, there's many different types of hamburgers too. So are you driving through McDonald's and getting one of those types of hamburgers, or are you getting nice quality premium, mince and making your own and garlic and onion, or however you're doing it? There's nothing wrong with a hamburger. You're going to be getting different, iron and different nutrients from the deconstructed burger, but you also don't want to just be living off of red meat.
No, sure.
And the reason why is because red meat's actually quite acidic, and it's one of the hardest foods to break down. So. It's good to, you get variety, right? So what are you putting on your burger? Maybe you just change it up, like you said, beetroot, maybe an egg, as you're in New Zealand. So perfect. Switch it around.
It's one of the obstacles to people getting healthy. Do you think the thought that all the good stuff that they're used to eating and that they like eating is going to have to disappear from their diet? Is that something that puts people off?
I think so, probably, yeah.
So how do you get your head around that?
Well, I think it's about your mindset. Where are you in life? Are you coming to see a health specialist because you want to get healthy and lose weight? You want to stay younger and be fit for your kids? What is your reason? And really own that and realize and understand how food actually helps heal the body, and food is medicine. So when you kind of link it together, what you put in your mouth is actually creating your cells, your skin cells, your tissue. I think you change your diet and your body starts wanting to eat different foods that you might not have liked before.
Yeah.
Not saying you can't still enjoy your other foods, because you can.
Sure. Of the people that come to see you, if you visit them 2 years down the track, would most of them still be on the same journey that they were on when they first came to see you? And would they have changed? Or would they have done a year?
Yeah, I think, it varies, but within a few years, usually there's changes. Yeah, I often have clients come back, a few years later. Maybe they went through a really hard time, a separation, or someone died, or I don't know, they moved homes out to the country, and now they've got allergies, or their allergies are gone. So many different, variables to good health. So, that's kind of what this flow chart's about too. Going from a healthy body with good nutritional stores, your tissue, your body's functioning properly, to how do you get to the point where you end up with a chronic disease or some kind of health condition.
Let's talk about your flow chart. We're going to start off with a healthy body.
So healthy body is when you have all your nutritional stores, all your vitamins, your minerals, your essential fats, your amino acids. You know, you're eating a nice variety of foods. Maybe there's not really any stressors in your life, emotional stressors. You're not overworking. You're not piling in the coffee and the sugar, and you know, your body's just functioning well. Your skin's looking clear. Hair and nails are growing well. You have energy. You're sleeping well. Brain's functioning properly. Body's working well.
Yeah, and to get to that healthy body is what we've just described a little bit earlier, that more or less a bit of everything in moderation, but primarily get out there and do a bit of exercise.
Oh yeah, I think exercise is very important, just for mental health, physical health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although losing weight and exercise don't necessarily go hand in hand, do they? Because you can lose a lot of weight and not do any exercise.
That's true. You can. Yep. But you know, it doesn't mean it's going to improve your cardiovascular fitness. Mm-hmm. You know, just because you've dropped 10 kilos. Well, yeah. Actually, to some degree, yes, it will. Yeah. But you know, your physical stature and endurance is only gained through getting out there and working the body.
They say 30 minutes every day. Is that the holy grail, or can you do 15 minutes 3 times a week?
Yeah, I don't know that there actually is a set, you know, how many days, how long. Because, you know, sometimes people do these cardio interval training. Mm-hmm. It's 15 minutes a day. I know my husband does it, and he's pouring sweat at the end of it. His heart rate has been up there. It's been down, you know. How you can compare that to an hour's worth of running. Yeah,
absolutely.
But for someone that's actually quite stressed, an hour's worth of running could actually be doing more damage. Yeah. It could be a physical stressor on their body.
Good point that you raised. So would a person who might be saying now, look, I'm out there running for half an hour at a moderate rate, if I did what your husband is doing over 10 or 15 minutes, would you recommend that I change to that, you know, exhaust myself in a short space of time and I'd be just as well off or not?
There's a lot of benefits they're finding to cardio interval training. So getting that heart rate up and down is really quite good. You know, you're burning more calories in that time. You're strengthening your heart. You know, the increase in circulation. And then there's those, I don't know what they call them, like they're almost like a quick boot camp. Yeah. Intense training. You can find, my husband's downloaded an app. Adrian James, I think it is. There's a shout out to Adrian James. And honestly, I look at what he does and I'm amazed at what it requires of the body to do.
I presume there's an age limit on that there. I mean, you wouldn't expect a 66-year-old guy to go out and do that, or could he?
I think he could very well.
Really?
Yeah, if he's fit.
Yeah.
Sure thing, yeah.
What about if you're not fit? Because people tend to overdo it, don't they? You say, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to start running, and I haven't run for 20 years, and you go out there and you run 5Ks and you get back and you're exhausted and you can't run again for a week because you're...
And you could have an injury too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's a proper way to do it.
How do you do that? How do you sort of get yourself into it in a reasonable way that you don't kill yourself?
If you're not familiar with exercising, I recommend you actually maybe see a personal trainer for a little bit, just to get the knowledge and understanding of how your body works, and they'll kind of start you off, kick you off, and then you can take it from there. Yeah. But you don't want to go out and just push yourself and say, all right, I'm going to go. Yeah. And then you end up with, you can't even sit on the toilet because you're so sore.
So what would you recommend as, we talked about the Holy Grail, 30 minutes a day. If someone who's unfit come to you for some advice, because that's what you're there for, you're going to look at their diet, you're going to look at what they're doing as an exercise, what would you be suggesting to them? How long is it going to take me to ease into becoming slightly more healthy? Is it going to be a week? Is it going to be a month, 3 months? What's my prognosis on that one?
You know, I've been amazed sometimes with client progression. You know, I've seen them for a consultation, and then 6 weeks later we follow up, and I say, okay, you know, what aspects of my plan did you implement? What did you change? They tell me any, you know, effects, positive or negative. I have been amazed sometimes at the changes in an amount of 6 weeks. One guy, he just completely changed his diet according to, you know, the plan I had given him, and he said, he listed all these great things that had happened, but the one thing that really shocked me, his vision improved.
Really?
He said he's not using his glasses nearly as much, and I thought, amazing, like the nutrition for, you know, even your eyesight, you know. So that's the first I had heard of that, and I was really pleased.
Over the years, you know, I was a fan of them as well. At one stage of watching those programs about people who were very large, they lost an enormous amount of weight, and they won a prize at the end of that. And then they revisited some of those people, and they had either, some of them were still success stories, but some of them had regressed back to where they were, or in fact even worse than what they were. What happens to those sort of people that does happen to them? You know, they had the mindset to lose all the weight, but what happens to us when we say, I've had enough of this, I'm just going to go back to the way it was? Why do we do that?
Are you referring to like shows like The Biggest Loser?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love watching those shows.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, I think that it's like that kind of environment that is created there. You know, you're with all these people, you have this similar goal and mission. You have this great gym with all the latest exercise equipment, excellent personal trainers, meals provided for you. You're set up for success in that environment. And then they go back into the real world and it's like, wait a minute, what do I buy at the grocery store? Or, you know, they might say, oh, I'm getting kind of tired of cooking my meals, so I'm just going to, you know, go through the drive-through. And I think it's just probably gradual slip-ups.
So healthy living really is it's a family affair, isn't it? I mean, if I'm unhealthy, I really need to get my family on board with me, because it's no good them sitting eating fish and chips when I'm having a salad.
Yeah, totally. And I recommend, if you do come see me for a consultation and you're married, bring your partner or spouse, even if you're not married, and let them sit in on the consultation, because they're going to learn a heck of a lot just from, you know, because it's educational as well. They're going to learn a lot. And an example of that is a client that him and his wife came every appointment, every follow-up. She started doing some, you know, making some changes herself. I didn't even see her. She lost 11 kilos in that process. And he had also lost like 10 or something kilos. But she just listened to what I was saying and just picked up some stuff. And I thought, this is fantastic. And they learned so much that they're taking that knowledge back to their families, and they're teaching their grandkids. And actually, the man is so enthusiastic about the changes. He's now enrolled in the same college as me to study nutritional science.
That's awesome. Is it likely that weight issues are a family affair? I mean, you know, if I come to see you and I'm 20 kgs overweight, is it likely that my partner is also going to be 20 kgs overweight? And that's where, you know, it is great to get involved as a family. But yeah, again, that's my question, is that if the rest of the family isn't getting behind you, I can see how easy it will be to fall off the rails. So it's like an institutional thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's hard, you know, families that come to see me and we go over, you know, what their health issue might be, and I give them this plan, and they say, oh, well, my husband won't eat this, and my kids won't. And so, you know, maybe it's just a 5-week plan. They're doing it just to get rid of, you know, a gut pathogen or something. But yeah, it's hard because you have to make other food for picky, you know, fussy eaters and people that don't like to eat the way that, you know, you need to eat at the time.
So doomed to failure before you start?
No, I set people up for success, Ken.
Okay, so a lot of these things then, obviously, unhealthy bodies, unfit, lead to stress. Tell us about stress. How important is stress in our life? We need some stress, don't you?
Yeah, so again, this is a disease progression chart. So again, healthy body, good nutritional stores, the body's functioning well. Then you get some kind of stressor. Be it emotional stress, physical, chemical, environmental stressors. So stressors cause a lot in the body. They deplete you of a lot of vital nutrients such as your B vitamins, your vitamin C, calcium, magnesium, and more. So physical stressors, what we're putting into our body. What are we eating? Too much sugar, too much caffeine, too many processed foods that our body just doesn't recognize and cannot, you know, break down properly. Maybe we're over exercising. Maybe, you know, we are running 10Ks a day. Maybe we are training to be a boxer and we're working out, you know, 3-4 hours training a day, which is pretty intense. Shout out to one of my clients who is. Emotional stressors. So maybe you're just dealing with a close death in the family. You're really stressed. Someone's unemployed, whatever it is. Chemical. What are we using on our bodies? What kind of deodorant, face cream, shampoo? All of that impacts the body. And environmental. Where do we live? Do you live in a really polluted city? In India, maybe? I know when I was in India, I blew my nose at the end of every day and out came black. Do you live in a vineyard around a lot of sprays? All of these stress the body and they will cause a change in the body. They will cause nutrient depletion. So what does your body do? It reacts. We can go further down. It uses up those nutritional stores to kind of compensate for it. So you're really stressed, calcium starts getting depleted, it gets pulled from your bones, and then you might end up with some brittle bones or you're on your way to osteoporosis. That's just an example. I read an interesting article on stress a couple of weeks back, and it said that stress can get you two ways. It can completely take away your appetite,
or continue around completely the opposite, and you can just sit and gorge yourself. And you know, you mentioned, touched very lightly there on grief, that I also am aware that, for instance, in the case of a loved one passing, and while you never get over it, you know, it takes a minimum of 2 years to come to terms with that. So how do you address stress issues like that?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Ken. Emotional stressors are some of the hardest ones, and you know, I'm not a psychologist. I did get some training in counseling, but you know, in a consultation, oftentimes a lot of emotions do come out because people do associate food as a crutch, you know, with absolutely. Emotions. Yeah. It's a really tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a natural process. I think humans need to go through that grieving process, and I think during that time, as best as you can, you want to take care of yourself. But at the same time, it's hard telling someone, you know, don't go for those chips when you're feeling sad.
Yeah, that's right. Because a lot of times we don't know that we're doing those things, do we? We're just sort of existing, cruising along. Is that why it's also important to have set meal times? You know, I think we've talked before over this, that you know, you read somewhere, you've got to have 6 or 8 little meals a day. Whereas you know, a normal person's getting up, they're having their breakfast, they're having their lunch, and they're having their dinner, and that's it. Well, I mean, again, is what's right?
Yeah, I hate when you read an article and it says you've got to, or you know, this has been proven. Like, we're all so different.
Yeah.
You know, you should be doing some intermittent fasting. You know, another person, they might have hypoglycemia and they need to be eating regularly. So there's no set rule for anyone.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I eat 1 meal a day, and look at me.
Well done.
Like Clark Kent sitting here. Okay, what comes after the stress?
Okay, so so we've got our stressors. Your body starts using up nutritional stores. Well, it can only do that for so long. So either the stressor needs to stop, so you can start regaining those nutritional stores, or that stressor does not stop, and then you end up nutritionally depleted. So, you know, I do vitamin and mineral deficiency tests, and also tests for, you know, essential fatty acid deficiencies and other amino acids. And oftentimes people that have just gone through a really stressful period, we do this test, they are low in everything. So it's like a car using up fuel on a long distance drive. You know, it just sucks up. It just uses your nutritional stores. Pregnancy.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
You've got I don't want to say a leech, but you've got you've got, you know, another human drawing on your nutritional stores, and so you need to keep making sure that you're putting in properly.
So what's the best way to address that? Eat more food, or maybe add some supplements to our diet? So we go to the chemist, we say, or the health shop, we say, well, you know, I'm feeding 2 people, but I don't want to eat 4 donuts. I just want to eat 2 donuts. So am I going to buy a jar of vitamin C, a jar of vitamin D, some magnesium? Is that the best way to address that problem or not?
Yeah, I think talking to someone like myself, you know, there's certain, if we're talking about pregnancy, there's certain nutritional stores that get very much depleted, such as your iron, which is why a lot of women suffer from really, really strong fatigue during pregnancy. Your zinc, choline, fish oil. There's just so many things that the baby needs, especially at particular times throughout your pregnancy. So yeah, I recommended talking to someone. And lots of pharmacists and people that work in pharmacies, particularly where I work at G's Pharmacy, they're very on top of their knowledge in that area. So
I know you might agree with me that in a perfect world we get all of our supplements and you know, our vitamins that we need from our food. So in a perfect world, should we be even taking supplements at all?
If it was the Garden of Eden, probably not. No, we probably wouldn't need to. You would have all this beautiful, lush soil with all these, you know, great vegetables and fruits and nuts and seeds growing, and they would just hold all of those nutrients from the soil. But in today's world, unfortunately, it's lacking. You know, mass production, population.
Look, I've got a black thumb when it comes to gardening. I'm used to saying, you know, I do everything that I have read about to get my garden ready. But also bear in mind that if you put a cabbage in, it takes about 4 months for a cabbage to grow. You know, so who's going to bother? Really?
all your cruciferous vegetables you need patience with.
Yeah.
Broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower.
So easy to say, grow some veggies. It's not that easy.
I know. To be honest, like with the cruciferous in the winter, I go to Chantel and I just buy them.
Yeah.
Because that's where you can buy the organic produce.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't. Yeah, I can't wait while I watch them grow impatiently.
Yeah, who wants to do that? No one in there. Yeah, well, let's go on from there. So the goal is obviously not the perfect body, but a healthy body.
Yeah.
So just give us we're just about running out of time. Just recap on what we've been talking about. What are some of the first steps that we need to take towards getting a healthy body?
Yeah. So if you don't know where to start, see someone that knows about the body and nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
But some basic things are definitely make sure you're drinking enough water.
Yeah.
30 milliliters per kilo of body weight. Think about food as FANI, food as nature intended.
Mm-hmm.
Before you put that donut into your mouth, did nature make this donut?
Well,
or
yes,
did
it
man
did.
make it? So on some level, you can just start thinking, how much in the way of whole foods am I eating?
Yeah.
How much is packaged? Start looking at labels, look at ingredients, see if you can recognize them. If you can't, your body can't recognize them to break them down. And then again, finishing that flow chart, like I said, nutritional depletion, impaired biochemical function. So your antioxidants, things get, just down. They start going down. Then you end up with all sorts of problems. You get tired, you get sick a lot, you can't think, and then a host of different diseases can develop. So, going back, what you can do, maybe you just start with a really good multivitamin.
Yeah.
And a probiotic. So, of course, you can put in all the best foods, but if your gut is not absorbing them properly, your cells aren't going to get those nutrients.
Interesting point that you raise about reading the labels. If you don't recognize, you can't even say the word and you put it into your body.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, the average person would never eat again if they didn't eat some of those foods, would they? I mean, when you get whatever you buy and you look at the label.
Buy food without a label.
you don't really worry about it. Peel the label off.
5 or less ingredients on the label.
But that's a good point, though, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
if you said, okay, well, I want to try and live like Heather's saying, the reality is slightly more difficult than that, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it has to be. I think once you start making the changes, it takes 90 days to form a habit.
Mm-hmm.
You get into a pattern, and it just becomes natural.
Very important to have a treat once in a while, though, isn't it? You mentioned we always talk about donuts because I quite like to donut. But you've got to have a treat. Otherwise, it's the next thing you got a whole bag of donuts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't want to stop yourself from eating your favorite food because then you're gonna gorge.
Yeah.
I love pizza.
Yeah.
I usually make homemade pizzas, but every once in a while I'll get a carry-out pizza, and that's great.
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
it.
You
It's a
cannot
treat.
beat it. I just love those McDonald's hamburgers. Just a little hamburger because it's got that little bit of pickle in it.
Oh yeah.
Just adds to the flavour.
I have not had a McDonald's hamburger in 20 years,
Well, look,
maybe. I don't know.
They're pretty small, so I normally buy 3, throw the buns away, and just put the meat in one.
All right. Okay.
Best way to do it. Plug there for McDonald's.
Uh-oh.
Now, if we want to get hold of you for some help with Food for Life and having a healthy body, how do we do that?
Sure. You can call me on 027-812-5071. I'm at G's Pharmacy in Taradale, so you can come in and say hello, pick up a card from the pharmacy. Also, my website is www.food4life.co.nz.
Heather, as always, our pleasure. You look after yourself. We'll talk to the same time, same place next time.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ken.